Welcome back to the Life and Tribe podcast. This is episode 208. On this episode, I recapped the NCAA Division I cross country meet. We had really exciting races individually and for the team titles on both sides. And I also talked a little bit about the Eyestone Dave Smith controversy. So, yeah, fun episode, quick one. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, please leave a review, drop a comment, share with a friend, and we'll catch you on 209. When we're running through Norton Commons or the Pewee Valley area in Louisville, Kentucky, it's pretty easy to spot Mason Construction Home. The attention to detail, the quality, the stunning design, you can't miss it. It stands out. We aren't just saying that either. Our own co-host Scotty trusted Mason Construction to build his forever home, and he and his family couldn't be happier. Don't tell Scotty this, but we're at his house a lot because we love the home. He's all right too, though. If you live in the Louisville or Southern Indiana area and are thinking about building your forever home or doing a remodel, there is nobody else to trust with this project than Mason Construction. The link to their website is in our show notes. Click on the request information option and start the conversation about what your forever home could look like. Welcome back, Life and Tribe podcast, episode 208. Had to do an NCAA cross country recap. I love this meet. For those of you that don't know, I actually ran in the NCAA. I ran 1 year at the University of Louisville, and then I switched over to a smaller school, Bellarmine University, here also in Louisville, and ran Division II there. Had a much better experience personally at Division II, and we can talk about that later when we get into Ed Eyestone and Dave Smith's comments in the men's race. But we'll start here with the women's race. Obviously, the course, I'm sure many of you watched this race or have kind of read recaps, but the race was in Columbia, Missouri, where the University of Missouri is. Go Tigers. And so we'll dive into the women's individual race, talk about the women's team race, and then we'll dive into the men's. So the individual race, obviously, it was down to two women. In all the previews, I think everyone kind of concurred that the women's race was between Jane Hedengren, the superstar freshman from BYU, and then Doris Lemngole, obviously a veteran runner in the NCAA and multiple-time NCAA champion from Alabama. Kind of a big age gap, and this is becoming more similar in the NCAA. So Jane is a true freshman. She's 19 years old, or Doris is 23 years old. Obviously, Jane's American. Doris is a Kenyan athlete from Alabama, or on Alabama's team. So the race was kind of down to those two, and just to kind of explain maybe why that was, if you're didn't follow NCAA cross country this season. Obviously, like I said, Jane's a true freshman. She won all three of her races before this meet in impressive fashion by huge margins. So it was pretty clear she was going to be one of the favorites to win this meet. I was kind of hoping she would. It'd be cool to see a freshman American win this meet. Only one freshman has ever won the women's race in NCAA history, and that was 40 years ago. So it's been a really long time since this has happened. So this really would have been a special thing. And just for some context too on Jane, her PRs are 14:57 in the 5K, insane. 4:04 in the 1500, 4:26 in the mile. 19 years old. She is the future of American distance running right here. So she is one of the favorites. The other favorite, again, Doris Lemngole of Alabama, 23 years old, NCAA titles indoors, outdoors, and cross country. And most impressively, and this just goes to show the level the NCAA system is at right now. She got 5th place in the World Championships, not the NCAA Championships, the World Championships in the steeplechase at World Outdoors just a couple months ago. So a really high level race, but it also goes to show what a high level Jane is at, because, Jane really duked it out with her pretty late into this race. And she's only 19 years old. So that's really exciting if you're a fan of American distance running, of how good she's going to be. And I'll talk about this later, but they are racing on the track in a couple weeks too, which is going to be really exciting. So very much looking forward to that. So let's talk about the race a little bit. They were together. The two favorites were together, and then Lemngole kind of broke Jane Hedengren with 500 meters to go. She ran 18:25 for 6K on the grass. That is wicked fast. So, and for context too on how fast this is, Jane Hedengren broke the course record earlier this year at a meet the NCAA preview meet at Missouri's home course, the same course they ran on Saturday. And Doris Lemngole ran faster than Jane Hedengren's time earlier in the season by 16 seconds. So really fast time. 18:25 is the fastest time ever at the NCAA cross country meet for women in the 6K. So really impressive. And the scary thing is, Lemngole is only a junior. So she has this year of track, and then she has cross country again next year and track again next year. So she's going to be around for a while. Obviously, she could go pro. She got fifth in the world in the steeple. Not sure if she's going to be around next year or not. I guess she'll probably have to weigh her options. Jane Hedengren, same thing. She could go pro right now. She's a sub 15 5K runner. I don't know if she will. I'm sure she's got NIL and plenty of revenue options coming in college at BYU, and she's probably having a lot of fun on that team. Doji Taylor clearly has created a awesome team and cultural atmosphere on BYU's women's team. So maybe she'll stay. I don't know. I kind of hope she does. It'd be cool to see her rack up some NCAA titles before she inevitably goes pro and again is the future of American women's distance running. So I would like to see her stay for a bit, but I'm sure she's going to weigh those options and make the best decision. And just if you're interested too, Doris Lemngole does have a NIL deal with On, I believe. I think she was running in On shoes and she has a contract with them. So Doris Lemngole won, and then Jane Hedengren was in second place. And then in third place was Hilda Olamomoy of Florida. And, you're like, NCAA XC's over. Not going to see these two duke it out anytime soon until track starts here in a couple months. Wrong. In 2 weeks at Boston University, the fastest indoor track in the world, Jane and Doris are duking it out over the 5K. There's no question they're both going to run under 15 minutes, especially based on the time they just ran in the 6K on the grass. But it's like, how far under 15 are we talking? Are we talking NCAA record? We probably are. Really exciting stuff. So I'm really excited to see how fast they run at BU here in a couple weeks on the track. I love that meet. They always have it after NCAA cross country 2 weeks after. It's perfect timing. Get a little rest after running the 10K on the grass, but you're still obviously carrying that really good base fitness from cross country, and that usually results in these NCAA athletes running really fast times at the BU meet. So yeah, really excited. I'll make sure to mention that on the pod, how fast they run, but just be looking out for that. That's going to be probably NCAA 5K indoor record, maybe overall record going down. I think it's in the low 1450s. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's right around where the record is. So two women very capable of doing that. Let's talk team race. So we had two powerhouse programs duking it out in the women's race to win the race. Before the race was pretty clear it's going to come down to these two teams, North Carolina State versus BYU. If you don't know, North Carolina State is not at altitude. I know there's some areas in North Carolina that do have a little bit of altitude, but there's no altitude in Raleigh. I've been to Raleigh. They do have a really good park system there, really good running situation. There's a park there called Umstead Park that they do a lot of their long runs at. It's a pretty hilly gravel park. So they have a powerhouse program. And just again, to put that into context, they won the NCAA team championship in cross country for women in 2021, 2022, and 2023. So they've won 3 of the last 4 going into this meet. I think they had a down year last year and finished around 8th or so, but they returned, I think, everyone from that team. So they were in prime, condition. Obviously they'd gotten faster in a year's time. So they were in pretty prime condition to take a good stab at winning this meet. They were the favorites based on just how the season went as well. BYU, on the other hand, they needed a lot more things to go right, I would say, on the day to win the championship. So the rankings were pretty accurate, I would say, going into the meet, where the NCAA had, the ranking system, I think it's USTF, CCCA, is the people that actually rank the teams. But NC State was ranked first, BYU second, and then Florida was ranked third going into this race. So again, everything needed to go perfect for BYU to win this race. Honestly, NC State was just way deeper. And through 5 at least. I'm looking at their team results now. So let me kind of break down the race, how it played out through the race. So at 5K, the score was 92 to 140. NC State was up pretty comfortably, 48 points. No, sorry, that's not halfway. The men's race is 10K. The women's race is a 6K. So with a K to go, they were up by 48 points. That's pretty cushy. There's a K to go, about 3.5 minutes left of racing. They're up 48 points. A lot of things would have to go wrong for them to lose at that point, right? Well, the finishing score was 114 to 130. BYU closed the gap, but didn't quite get there. So NC State's scoring five were 5th, 6th, 24th, 35th, and 44th. But then their 6, 7 were 96th and 122nd. So I guess they really needed to rely on their top 5 to do well because their 6, 7 were pretty far back. Where on the other hand, we have BYU here, again, 16 points back at the finish. So they made up 32 points. In between, is that the right math? Yeah, 16. Yeah, that's the right math. Nice. So they made up a lot of points between 5 and 6K. So they made up a lot of points in that time. Their top 5, second, which was obviously Jane, 4th, 36th, 41st, 47th. But then their 6, 7, and someone's going to get me for the meme saying 6, 7. I still don't understand what that means. Was 63rd and 68th. And again, North Carolina State's 6th and 7th were 96th and 122nd. So NC State really needed their 5th to do well, or they probably would have lost the race if their 5th didn't do well because their 6th runner was pretty far back. So that means NC State won for the 4th time in 5 years. Very impressive stuff. Are you a runner? Do you need running shoes, gear, apparel, more? If so, I got the scoop for you. Kencom's Running Store is the best place to buy any running supplies you need. Located in the St. Matthews area of Louisville, Kentucky, the friendly staff will take excellent care of you. If you are a newer runner and need help finding the right shoes, or you're looking to get plugged into the Louisville running community, this is where you need to start. If you don't live in Louisville, check out werunlou.com. We have a discount code and the link to the website in the show notes, and the shipping is free for purchases over $100. I promise you, Matt and team are the friendliest people you can meet. Don't hesitate. Get your running supplies at Kencom's Running Store and support an amazing local business. And the interesting thing is, obviously, in 2021 when they won, they have a totally different team now from then to now. So clearly, they have an amazing program. Their coach is doing a great job. It's mostly American women on their team too, I believe. She just does a great job at developing these athletes. Obviously does a great job recruiting too, but really impressive at NC State. 4 wins out of the last 5 years. They are not at altitude. Just really impressive what they're doing in Raleigh, just building a championship program. And I think most of this team does come back next year for NC State. So I would definitely expect another title from the next year. They're going to be ranked number 1 going into the season for sure, unless anything changes with their roster. Obviously, people transfer, stuff like that. But I would expect them to win again next year. BYU, I'm sure. I know Jane's coming. Well, if Jane comes back, she's a freshman, so they'll probably have the number 1 or 2 stick again. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll put up a formidable fight once again. Kind of interesting. Florida was ranked 3rd going into the meet. They finished back in 5th. Oregon was ranked 6th and came up and finished 3rd. So with 153 points. So Oregon had a really good day here as well. So that's all I got in the women's race. Overall thoughts. I'm so excited for, as just a fan of American distance running, for Jane Hedengren to just continue progressing. I think she is the future of women's distance running in the U.S. I could see her running under 14:30 in the 5K within the next couple years. She's in the perfect place, perfect situation to run fast. I think Dilgy Taylor is one of the best coaches in the country for women's track athletes. They have obviously a great support system and just a really good team culture there. So I think, she's in a great place to succeed. They're at altitude. I see nothing but success if Jane can stay relatively healthy over the next few years. I would assume she probably won't finish out her full 4 years at BYU. I'm hoping she does another year or two, but I think her going pro, especially if she's able to run under 14:50 in the 5K this year, it might make more sense for her to go pro because she's going to be competing at the highest level, not only in the US, but she'll be running fast enough to run Diamond League meets and stuff like that. Obviously, she's young, so maybe she doesn't want to do that yet. But eventually, I just don't see her staying in the NCAA all 4 years. I just don't know if it makes sense when you're when you're that good, I think you need to kind of rise with your level of competition for sure. But yep, she's in the right place for sure, and looking forward to more success from her. And then yeah, Doris Lemngole. I mean, uh, unbelievable athlete, fifth in the world in the steeplechase, age 23. Interested to see what she does next year too. She's only a junior, like I said, so we'll see if she's back in the NCAA for cross country next year yet or not. All right, let's move on to the men's race. The first thing, I made a reel about this yesterday. If you don't follow us on Instagram and you want to see my face on some reels, go ahead and follow us on Instagram. I think we just hit 4,500, so things are moving and shaking on the IG. So yeah, I made a reel about this. Obviously, there's some drama before the men's race with Ed Eyestone, the coach of BYU, and then Dave Smith of Oklahoma State. I will read the relevant portions of their statements to the media. This is Ed Eyestone's. So he says, some coaches have decided to take a shortcut by taking foreign talent. Many are older and developed. I always felt I'd be embarrassed to have 7 foreigners on the team. Whoa. The NCAA is definitely the way we develop talent in this country. And then Oklahoma State coach Dave Smith comes back. And so just for reference too, BYU is a team that normally is American guys. Sometimes they have Canadian guys, Rory Linkletter. It's usually all American guys. They're all really good high school talents, usually that Ed Eyestone recruits, and he works on developing them. The only thing you need to remember with BYU, right, and is that a lot of them, serve their Mormon mission as they do, and so a lot of the athletes don't actually like start on the team as freshmen until they're like 19 or 20. A lot of the time, usually maybe closer to 20. So a lot of their athletes are a bit older on the team. You might get some seniors on their team that are in the 24 age range, which is a little higher than maybe a traditional senior would be. But, in the current NCAA climate, a lot of teams have people that age. So I wouldn't really say that's anything to be overly concerned about. But just, as a reminder, BYU does have some older athletes on their team as well. But like I said, too, mostly American athletes, almost all American athletes on their team is my understanding. So Dave Smith of Oklahoma State comes back. I believe if someone doesn't like a rule or doesn't like a situation in the NCAA, I'll cut out the cuss words since this is a PG-13 podcast. Don't complain about it. He said, go change it. Get involved in the sport, get involved in leadership, and make change the way change is supposed to be made. Otherwise, shut up and coach your team. Whoa. That was clearly pointed towards Ed Eyestone's comment. I mean, obviously, he just didn't say, shut up and coach your team, Ed. If he said that, then, sparks would have flew, but that's pretty much what he said. So we have two different perspectives here, right? Ed Eyestone coaches a team that is traditionally all American guys. He's really good at developing American guys. He has coached Connor Mance and Clayton Young to, from when they were freshmen to now they are superstar marathoners in the U.S. He has, Kenneth Rooks, who was a silver in the Olympic steeplechase. So yeah, I mean, he is really good at developing American talent, and he's producing a lot of the future of American distance running on the men's side, just like Jane Hedengren on the women's side with Doji Taylor. BYU's women's team produces a lot. Like, we rely on BYU heavily for our American distance talent. So I like what he's doing there, but at the same time too, and for context here, if you don't know, Oklahoma State, who Dave Smith coaches, I just read his quote. They are very traditionally, recruiting foreign athletes. They've always had Kenyans on their team, and they're Kenyans that right when they get to the U.S., they are like top 10, 15 type contenders in the NCAA. So it's kind of like, I understand where both of them are coming from, right? On one side, Ed Eyestone is frustrated because he's getting good high school talent, but they're not like world beaters yet. And then he's developing them into, really good athletes by the time they're juniors, seniors, whatever. And they're competing very well in the NCAA as a team through this development process, right? But then Dave Smith takes the approach, and Dave Smith's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure his workouts are good. He has a great track record, a lot of success on his teams. Like, when people move from Kenya or wherever they come from on his team, he still has to coach them. He still has to give them workouts and make sure, they're progressing. So he's a great coach, but I think it can be frustrating from an Eyestone's perspective where he's developing athletes and then, Dave Smith can just like get 5 to 7 superstars from East Africa and he has all of a sudden a team that's winning NCAA cross country. So I can see like the frustration, but keep in mind too, like Dave Smith is doing everything within the rules of the NCAA. He's allowed to have a lot of the athletes on the team, the East African athletes on his team, whatever. They're a bit older. They're already developed when they get here. But he's doing everything within the rules. I mean, there's NIL now involved. He can pay these people or these athletes, and there's not. I don't know exactly what the age cap is in the NCAA either, but yeah, he's just kind of pulling together super teams by bringing in foreign talent. And the unfortunate, I don't know if it's unfortunate or not. I mean, it's fun to see these guys run, these really fast guys duke it out, especially in cross country. But I mean, that's the reality of the NCAA. Like the NCAA right now, like only 5 American guys finished in the top 30 of this race. Only 5 American guys finished in the top 30 of this race. That means 25 of the top 30 at the D1 cross country meet were non-American athletes. So if Dave Smith doesn't have like his top, like I think 4 of his top 5 was Kenyan or East African guys, and then his 5th was an American guy, Ryan Shoppy, who we'll talk about. But if he doesn't have like that foreign talent, they probably don't win this race, and he wants to win. So I understand like, there is some external pressure because other teams are doing it that he feels like he needs to do this because he wants to win the cross country championship. So, I mean, I understand both sides of it for sure. Like, I understand why Eyestone's frustrated. Totally makes sense. But then, Dave Smith, like, I understand his perspective too. He wants to do a good job. He wants to win the race. And if he can get good foreign talent in, that's going to guarantee he wins the race. Then, and everything's within the rules, everything's cool. Then, like, I can't blame him for that either. So it's just like, the NCAA needs to make rule changes if they want anything to change, but until they do, that's just how it's going to be. So, like teams like Oklahoma State that are heavily reliant on, and like Iowa State too, like Iowa State's like heavily Kenyan team. Like that's just how the NCAA system is going to be unless any rule changes are made about how many foreign athletes can be on the team and stuff too. But on the other side of things too, the NCAA by doing this, by having all these foreign athletes, like they are giving these people really like great educations. Like, there's no doubt that a lot of these like foreign athletes are getting really good opportunities to like, further their education in the US too. So you kind of have to look at it at that perspective too, just like a human perspective. These people, I mean, people coming from Kenya, wherever, like they're getting really good educations from doing this too. So you kind of have to look at it at a human level as well. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I don't disagree with either of these coaches. I can see why both of them feel the way they do. But yeah, unless anything changes in the NCAA, it's kind of just like this just is what it is. There's nothing really more to say about it. So you just had an amazing training block, and you're walking to the start line of your PR attempt race. What are the key items you need to have on you for race day? For me, I cannot start a race without my white mid-crew SWIFTWICK socks. And I'm going to give you 2 reasons why. Number 1, my race day fit is not complete without them. I love the look of these socks, and I think if you look good, you feel good, and you race good. Number 2, I trust the performance of these socks. They have compression technology that is going to guarantee my feet are feeling good in my super shoes, and they are also made of moisture-wicking fibers that are going to prevent blisters from happening, especially when I'm going the marathon distance. The last thing that you want to be worrying about on race day is a bad blister developing and ruining your race. If you're constantly having race day issues with this, it's not the shoes, it's your socks. Try SWIFTWICK socks today. The link to their website and our discount code is in the show notes. All right, let's dive into the men's race. Enough of that. It's enough controversy. So let's talk about the individual race, and then we'll dive into the team race. Individual race was kind of interesting. The big favorite was Habtom Samuel of New Mexico. I believe he is Eritrean, and he is 21 years old. He has gotten runner-up at this race, I believe, twice now, NCAA cross country. He is legit, and I mean he is legit on the track. He's a sub 27 track guy. I think his PR, I want to say it's like 26:52, something in that 26:55-ish range. This guy is legit. I mean, to have a sub 27 runner in the NCAA cross country meet is crazy. Other favorites going into this race were Rocky Hansen of Wake Forest. He's a 21-year-old American runner. He finished 100th last year, but he was on a tear this year. So he was definitely one of the favorites. Solomon Kipchoge of Washington State, Kenyan athlete from Washington State, was really dominant this year as well in all of his races. And then obviously Oklahoma State has, 3 guys that are like all title contenders in my eyes before this race too. So those were kind of the favorites. The Oklahoma State guys: Solomon Kipchoge of Washington State, Rocky Hansen of Wake Forest, and Habtom Samuel of New Mexico. The race kind of played out a little differently, I guess, than the women's race. There was like a bigger pack so the women's race is obviously a 6K. The men's race is a 10K. It's about 2.5 miles longer for our American people out there, and 4K longer for the metric system people. But so with 8K, it's about 2K or 1.25 miles to go. There are still 23 guys within like a second or two of the leader of the race. And Habtom Samuel, they asked Habtom Samuel watching an interview after the race, and they're like, what were you kind of thinking? Because normally I guess he's known for like pushing the pace. They're like, was that your plan to kind of like sit in the back? Because he was never really leading the race until about 1 mile to go. He made his move, his winning move. But before that point, he was there, but he was kind of chilling behind the group. And I think that was kind of his plan, was to like not make any crazy moves or lead the race until late when he felt like it was time to make that final push home. And it paid off for him. Yeah, his hard last mile broke the pack up. He ran 28:33 on the grass. 28:33 on the grass. I don't know. I don't think this is like a crazy hilly course by any means. But again, like the grass is not the fastest surface. So 28:33 10K on the grass is moving. Rocky Hansen got second, 28:38. And he was 5 seconds back of Habtom Samuel. Pretty good gap over a mile. Clearly a huge move by Habtom Samuel. Really cool story about Rocky Hansen is he got 100th place last year in this race. So he moved up 98 positions in 1 year. So obviously, like, we're talking future of American distance running. This guy's pretty good. I don't know. I don't think his track credentials are quite as good as cross country, but granted, he hasn't ran track yet this year. He's going into indoor track season now, so we'll see what he does. But before he does that, and I love this move from him, he's running U.S. World Cross Country Championships, or just U.S. Cross Country Championships. So as you may know, the World Cross Country Championships this year, I believe, are in Tallahassee, Florida, where Florida State's course is. So it's a pretty big deal this year that American athletes want to take part in that, because it's obviously a home race, the World Championship is. So the U.S. Cross Country Champs, or the Cross Country Trials, you can call them, this year, are in Portland, and Rocky Hansen is going to run. I believe you need to finish top 6 at that race to make the U.S. team in Tallahassee for the World Cross Country Championships. That would be really cool to see him on the team. I'm not sure what U.S. pros are running. I'm sure Connor Mance is. I haven't actually read anything, but you have to think Connor Mance is. He's a great cross country runner. He could probably finish top 10 or 15 at the World Champs. I'm thinking, just based on how good he's gotten at the marathon. I would love to see Graham Fisher and Nico Young in that race too. I think I read something saying they're kind of wishy-washy about it, so we'll see. But cool to see Rocky Hansen in the race. It'd be cool to see him at the World Cross Country Champs. So he's not quite done running cross country yet before he turns his brain towards running some fast stuff on the track. So yeah, really cool. And then Solomon Kipchoge of Washington State was in third. Really impressive behind him. Oklahoma State, 4th, 5th, and 6th. If you have 3 people in the top 10 at NCAA cross country, there's a pretty good chance you're going to win the meet. And sure enough, they did. Let's do public math here. That's 15 points, 3 guys in. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, and again, just a reminder, there's only 5 American guys in the top 30. So very heavily foreign contingent in the front pack at NCAA cross country this year. Obviously, the battle going into this race: Oklahoma State, New Mexico, Iowa State. Iowa State had that controversy earlier in the year. If you remember, I think I talked about it on a pod where some of their B team guys, so none of the guys that ran this meet, But some of their B team guys, so no one in their top 5 or 7, I don't think, got they failed a drug test. I think it was for peptides or something weird. But yeah, they failed the drug test. I don't want to say what drug it was or anything because I'm not 1,000% sure on that. But yeah, they got suspended from the team essentially for failing a drug test. So that was a big controversy with Iowa State this year and kind of put a dark cloud over the team. But anyway, so yeah, the team battle going into this race was again between Oklahoma State, New Mexico, Iowa State. These are all teams that are heavily East African, contingents, Eritrea, Kenya, type athletes on their team. And so let's kind of run through how the race played out. Again, as I said, at the 8K mark, there was still a pretty good pack of guys. And at the 8K split, Oklahoma State had 59 points and New Mexico had 107. But this is kind of where some drama happened. Oklahoma State's 5th guy at that, at 7 8K, he was in a pretty good spot. And then he imploded. It was this Kenyan athlete on their team. It ended up finishing 182nd. So at the 7 and 8K point in the race, the splits looked pretty good for Oklahoma State, but there was some major panic going on with the coach, I'm sure, because his estimated 5th guy was falling back hard, ended up finishing 182nd. If they had to rely on him to be their 5th guy, they don't win the race. So, and this is where things get a little interesting. So they asked Dave Smith, the coach of Oklahoma State, after the race about this. And the senior on their team, Ryan Shoppe, or Shop is, his last name Schoppe. Pronounce it how you want to. I think it's Shoppe. But so Dave Smith, I guess, thought there's a possibility something like this would happen. So he wanted, and Ryan Shoppe is a great athlete. He's anchored their DMR before NCAA indoors. He's really solid runner. I guess he's more of a track guy than a cross country guy, so to say. But he was okay, just in case our 5th guy just blows up later in this race, I want you to run the race conservatively. And then at 7 or 8K, if I'm on the course and I say hey, we need you, something's happening, we need you. I need you to make a huge move and take as many places as you can. So he kind of planned for this before the race, which I thought was really cool and smart and just great tactical coaching. So anyway, their 5th guy who they were relying on blows up. And then at 7K, Ryan Shoppe runs by. He's their 6th man at this moment in time. And Dave Smith, his coach, goes, hey, we need you. The 5-man he's eating it. He's falling back. So Ryan Shoppe goes from at 7K, he was in 75th. He ended up finishing 34th. So he made a huge move the last 3K or around 2 miles of the race and absolutely saved the team title, because if he had stayed in 75th and not moved up, or in the 70s and not moved up to 34th, they would have lost, because this is the final score. Oklahoma State dominates 57 points, but then New Mexico finished with 82 points. So they were only, 25 points behind. So if Ryan Shoppe, the 5th guy, doesn't make that huge move at 7K and make up, 41 places, get the All-American spot, Oklahoma State doesn't win the race. So pretty smart tactic, just good tactical move by Dave Smith to tell this guy hey, I'm a little worried about our 5th guy. I don't know if he was injured before the race, something like that. But there's I guess in his head, he was there's a chance this guy's going to blow up, our 5th guy. I'm not sure about him. I want you to run a little slower the first bit of the race, put yourself in a good spot where you can make a big move with 2-3K to go and pass some people if we need you to. And sure enough, they needed him and he made the move. So really interesting and cool to hear that after the race, that Dave Smith just played that out in his head before the race, and it ended up working out for them because they needed him. They only won by 25 points. So 57 points is a dominant score at NCAA cross country. That is your top 5 averaging 11th place and change. That's legit. So in New Mexico finishing 2nd, 82 points. Most times, 82 points wins this meet easily. So 2 very high level teams in the top 2 there. Obviously, New Mexico had the individual winner with Habtom Samuel. But yeah. So really impressive run by both these teams. But Oklahoma State comes out on top. And then Iowa State, who was, I think, ranked number 1 earlier in the season, Again, had that kind of drug test controversy with some of their B guys this year. They finished in third. So, yeah, both really exciting races. Again, like my main takeaway from the women's race is Jane Hedengren. I'm just like so excited to see what she's going to turn into. I mean, she's already turned into an amazing athlete at age 19, but it's just like she's only 19 years old. Like what's your future like with U.S. distance running? It's just really exciting. NC State, utter dominance, so impressive. 4 out of the 5 last titles. Just excellent coaching. I mean, again, she's coaching different women on these teams. Like they won a title in 21, and then they come back when they're 4th out of 5 years with like pretty much an entirely new roster in 2025. So that's just good coaching. So BYU as well. I mean, powerhouse on the women's side. Yeah, and then the men's race. Yeah, drama. Love the drama. Love the conversation with Eyestone and Dave Smith. I think it's an important conversation to have. I don't know if there will be any rule changes in the future with NCAA, cross country. I honestly don't think there will be, but interesting conversation. Kind of glad both coaches spoke out a bit and gave their opinions. It's just really interesting to hear. Individual men's race, yeah, Habtom Samuels will be sub 27 track guy, hard to beat. And then, yeah, the men's race, really entertaining for the team title. Oklahoma State dominating with their 5th guy, the American Ryan Shoppy, pulling the huge clutch move with 2 or 3K to go to save the team title. So, yeah, NCAA cross country, man, what a cool meet. Absolutely a pleasure watching this always. Really excited. Some of the men's athletes, too, will be at Boston University after this race in 2 weeks, racing the 5K. So I think some of these guys towards the front end of the race are probably capable of running high 1250s, low 13s, 1305 to 1255 type range. So that'll be really cool to watch. Make sure you pay attention to that race as it comes up. And then, yeah, I guess I'll do a quick, I don't know if we'll do a banter episode or not this week with Thanksgiving. So quick training update from me before we wrap here. If you're interested, if you're not interested in me at all, go ahead and just log it off. All good. I am 7 weeks out from Houston Marathon, 6 weeks, 6 days. And I'm feeling good. Everything's good. I did 140 miles last week, my highest week ever. I thought like I'd feel pretty beat up from that, but I had 2 really good workouts. I had a really good 8-mile tempo on Wednesday, and then a 25-mile long run on Saturday with 19 miles steady progression from like 6:30 down to like 5:40ish. And then, yeah, the 8-mile tempo on Wednesday averaged 5:23. So really happy with both of those workouts. We still got like 5.5 weeks of pretty hard training to look forward to. So a lot of fitness to gain. I would estimate I'm probably in 223 type shape, 224 maybe right now, 225 maybe, 223, 25 range. Let's just say that. So can I close the gap in 5.5 weeks before we start tapering to 220 shape? I don't know. 220 shape's pretty, good shape, and that's a big jump to make, but I'm going to do everything possible to try. So we'll see what happens. Definitely going to try to stay injury free too, but everything's feeling really good so far. So yeah, that's the update. I am racing this Thursday on Thanksgiving. There's a 5-mile race here, and it's in Indiana, right across the river from us in New Albany, called Fast Freddy's Festive 5-Mile Foot Feast. Try to say that 10 times in a row. It's a loaded race. The course record's like 23 mid for 5 miles, which is like 440 something pace. So that's the zoom in. And usually like some good high school kids show up from, or good college kids show up. They're in town for Thanksgiving break. So there's some like good D1 guys from that area that will show up and run under 25 every year. So yeah, so I'll have my hands full with all these young guys. We'll see what happens. But last year I ran 25:30ish, and then I ran like 6 weeks later, I ran 68 flat in the half marathon. So if I can run around that this year, that would be a pretty good indicator that things are moving in the right direction fitness wise. So but yeah, that's next in my race schedule. I'm trying to figure out a half marathon, whether that's a time trial or or I find a good race that I can kind of rip 5 weeks out from Houston. We will see on that. I would love to get a bit of a tune-up race in, but TBD. But yeah, that's my training update. We got a couple good pods coming at you this week. We have the winner of the Indy Marathon coming on today, Mr. Whalen. And then on Wednesday, we are recording with Ethan Schuler, who I ran against a bit in high school. I think he was a couple years younger than me. He's from Northern Kentucky, went to BYU for a bit for running, and now he lives in Japan. I think he moved there for work. But anyway, he's been running 140 miles a week in Japan, been training a little bit with Mr. Ran to Japan himself, and just had a breakthrough race, went from like 218 or 217 to 211. Huge PR at the Kobe Marathon, got second place in Japan, and I want to hear all about it. You know, he's not as not super well known compared to Mr. Ran to Japan, so I kind of want to hear his story. He's kind of got a similar story, but you know, he's a Kentucky guy, so I'm really interested in how his whole running career has played out. So yeah, I'm really excited to have him on the pod on Wednesday this week. So those are the ones to look forward to this week. And yeah, thanks for listening. As always on these solo episodes, appreciate any sort of constructive criticism you can give that has been helpful in the past, having some. So yeah, let me know. Any constructive criticism, would love to hear it. But that's NCAA cross country. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll catch you here in a couple of days for the Indy Marathon Champions pod. See you then.